Okay, hello guys, welcome to the Insert Title Show. I am your host, Wolf Strife. On this episode, I'm going to be checking out the Bastille. I'm actually recording this on the 230th anniversary of the storming of the Bastille. There it is. This is a big fortification. Let's see what they got to say about it. Yeah, it started under Charles V, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't finished until after he died, so I guess it was Charles VI who actually oversaw its construction. Yeah, I think construction began in, what was it, like 1370 and finished in, they're not really sure, probably between like 1380 and 1383. So... well, let's see. I'm telling you everything I know off the top of my head. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't really have time to do my usual thing where I show pictures and stuff because I want to get this posted today, so I'm just going to have to ramble off the top of my head here. Well, hopefully it'll be okay. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I'm about to shove 30 minutes of Bastille knowledge up your ass, so I just wish I had time to do pictures, but I don't know, maybe this way is better so you're not getting, so it's not slowing down the episode. With the criminals. Alright, so I guess in the game this is actually a couple of years after the storming of the Bastille, because the storming of the Bastille was 1789. I think in the game this is 1794, so actually I don't even think the Bastille was still around at this point. Here's the moat, even though it was pretty dried up by the time it was stormed. But in a way I think that might make it a better defense. Yeah, because guys will be like, hey, let's storm across there, and then they'll get trapped down there. Yeah, I just can't believe how massive this building is. I think it's like 226 feet wide and like 160 feet deep, and then the towers, there are 8 towers, and then I think they're like 74 feet tall. So yeah, this is definitely a massive structure. So yeah, this is kind of what it would have looked like when they stormed the Bastille, July 14th, 1789. There's a lot of barricades and stuff. Yeah, originally the Bastille was built to guard the gate of Saint-Antoine, which was the eastern gate into the city of Paris back in the 1300s. But naturally, as Paris grew, I think the population of Paris was like 200,000, give or take, when the Bastille was built. But by the time of the storming, it was up to like over 800,000, so the city had definitely outgrown the Bastille's location. In fact, I think the walls and gate that was guarding have been torn down, as you can see, so it's kind of past its military defense purpose, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, unfortunately, after the Parisians, severed head on a pike, after the Parisians took the Bastille, they tore it down stone by stone, so it does not exist anymore, unfortunately. And the Parisians loading up on muskets, getting ready for the revolution. Yeah, the Bastille, this is actually the first episode I'm recording. Oh, see, this guy's tearing down the Bastille, or something. But yeah, this is the first episode I've recorded since getting back from France, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah, the Place de la Bastille is actually the last place I visited when I was in Paris. I actually went there just a few hours before I was getting on the train to go to London, so I was like, okay, Bastille, Place de la Bastille is only like half a kilometer or a kilometer away, so I want to go and check it out before leaving. The Place de la Bastille is kind of, I mean, it's a nice little square or circle, and they have a nice column in the middle of it, but it definitely would have been a lot nicer if the Bastille was still there. It just would have been so cool seeing such a important and iconic medieval structure. That would have been really cool. Damn it. Would have been really cool seeing it. Oh, God. I swear to God, I'm not this bad at picking locks. It's just because I'm recording this. There's a slight lag on my screen. Capture card. Alright, so yeah, this would have been very cool. I mean, imagine this still being there. I mean, it definitely would have dominated the skyline. I mean, this and Notre Dame would have definitely dominated the eastern skyline of Paris. But, oh well. Oddly enough, though, in 1899, when they were digging a metro line, they actually found some of the foundation stones of the Bastille. And so that's all that's left of the Bastille. And I got to see that and touch it and stuff. It's kind of interesting. It's actually in like a little park for kids and stuff, so it's kind of creepy being a grown man walking around there. I was like, I just wanted to see the Bastille. I'm not a pedophile. You know, it's always creepy being around little kids. Like, I'm a delivery driver, and sometimes teachers at elementary schools and high schools and middle schools will order food, and I have to go there, and it's always scary. Like how some of our other drivers are like 17 and 18-year-old guys, and even they are terrified of walking around a elementary school. But yeah, if you go to Paris, definitely check out the place of the Bastille, and definitely look for that park. It's kind of on the way if you're coming from the Seine. So yeah, really cool, man, really cool. But yeah, it would have been very awesome if this had still been there. But yeah, they're tearing it apart, I guess. Well, and two, I'm not going to give these Parisians shit. I mean, this was definitely a symbol of the Ancien regime's tyranny. Is that an outhouse? Yeah, there's a cannon. Oh yeah, nice spot. Yeah, they could fire all the way down the street. Yeah, the Bastille at the time of the storming was guarded by, I think, 114 soldiers. Most of them, like 82 of them, were actually old invalid soldiers, so they were basically here just, you know, doing their job, getting a pension, basically. And I think there were 32 of the elite Swiss guards who were here. So, oh wow. See, would have been freaking cool if this place was still around. This is a really cool structure, man. Oddly enough, the guy who designed it was one of the first men to be imprisoned in it. I can't remember his name. I think it was like Aubrey or something like that. But yeah, he was like, he seemed like a pretty good guy. He was like friendly to the Jews and stuff and stood up for them. And he actually designed the first sewers of Paris and was a really cool architect and stuff. But yeah, people got pissed off at him for, you know, not being a religious bigot, basically, and they threw him in jail. But I think a year after he was in prison, there was a riot, and they broke him out. But he got the hell out of town, naturally, and went back to Dijon, which I think is where he was from, and ended up dying there a few years later, so kind of interesting. But yeah, you could still see some of the fortifications here, like the walls and stuff. I would not want to attack the Bastille, man. I think at the time of the storming they had 30 pieces of artillery. What the hell? Oh, that's the Bastion. Yeah, they built that in 1550 just to kind of add on to the defenses. Just to kind of have something jut out so that they couldn't focus all their firepower and stuff on the Bastille itself. They would have to take the Bastion and stuff, so that was kind of cool. Let's see if I can get a shot through the... yeah. But yeah, I think they had about 30 pieces of artillery. I think about 18 of them were 8-pounders, which I guess is what these are. I don't think I've ever seen an 8-pounder in person, so I'm not sure if these are the proper sizes or not, but... and I guess the rest of the artillery, the other 12 pieces, were probably just like small 6-pounders, maybe even some 3-pounders, yeah. But yeah, man, the Bastille, I would not want to attack this place, especially going up against 32 of the elite Swiss Guard. So when the storming of the Bastille happened, there was about 900 Parisians who attacked it. Most of them were just local craftsmen and I think there were even some wine merchants who joined in the fighting, and some of them were actually soldiers who had deserted the king. So, you know, they were pretty much military grade soldiers. So, yeah, they. Well, first what happened was they tried to negotiate with the governor of the Bastille. I guess in America we would call him the warden, but in Europe they call him the governor. I guess because he governs the prison. And then all of a sudden, you know, fighting broke out, and the guards of the Bastille opened fire, and everybody was like, ah. But yeah, the defenders of the Bastille, they did a really good job. And just look at the casualty figures. I think there were 98 Parisians killed and about 70 something wounded, and the defenders only had 1 man killed, so pretty good casualty ratio. But the governor of the Bastille, I can't remember his name, is like Linné or something. He kind of took stock of the situation, was like, yeah, we should probably surrender. We're running out of water and food, and just, yeah, I mean, it looks like the entire city of Paris is about to storm our gate, and he knew that, hold on. Come here. I think he knew that if by some chance the Parisians did get in, they would all be, you know, all the soldiers and stuff would be killed. And most of the guys guarding the Bastille were invalids, so, you know, old, wounded, and not exactly tip-top shape soldiers. The Parisians, they didn't exactly do a great job attacking the Bastille. I think actually when somebody like climbed up and cut the drawbridge down, and when the drawbridge came down, it crushed one of the Parisians. So that, I guess he was like the first casualty probably of the battle. So yeah, not exactly the most organized bunch, but you know, some mad mob attacking ancient fortification. So yeah, here's all the dungeons. Oddly enough though, the Bastille was kind of a prison for white-collar crime. And if you look at the numbers, they actually kept pretty good records of how many prisoners they had in the Bastille. I think only about 5,200 prisoners, and that's 400-year history, so yeah, not too many guys were imprisoned here. But like I said, it was mostly white-collar crimes like forgeries and not paying your taxes and basically pissing off the king, because this was kind of a royal... basically the king decided who went to the Bastille, so basically whoever pissed off the king went here. Like, I think the man in the iron mask was imprisoned here for a short time. Oddly enough, though, like 2 days before the Bastille was stormed, the Marquis de Sade was imprisoned here, but he was moved out just a few days before. I guess Linné was kind of sensing that trouble was brewing, and he thought the Parisians would try to break the Marquis de Sade out, so he got him out of there. The first place the Parisians attacked, though, was actually Les Invalides, because they thought Les Invalides had a shitload of munitions and stuff. It did have a lot of guns. I think it had like 32,000 muskets at Les Invalides, but no ammo, no gunpowder. The governor of Les Invalides actually moved all the guns and gunpowder out of there. I mean, not the guns. He moved the ammo and the gunpowder out of there. And they actually moved it to the Bastille, which is probably why the Bastille was the second major place to be attacked. I think it was like 250 barrels of gunpowder, which is kind of impressive. I wonder how the hell they were able to get that across town. I mean, the Bastille's pretty freaking far away from Les Invalides, probably 2.5, maybe 3 miles. I mean, I've walked every square inch of central Paris, and that's a long way to walk in a city, so I'm kind of surprised they were able to get the gunpowder here. Yeah, I guess this is like the fancy quarters for the prisoners. Yeah, the nobles or whatever. Yeah, interestingly enough, half of the prisoners of the Bastille's history were imprisoned during the reign of Louis XIV. Yeah, I think he imprisoned like 2,300 people here during his, well, yeah, I mean, it was a long reign. He was king for 74 years, so. But yeah, it's just kind of shows you the times that he was living in. Well, I mean, he just like got pissed off at his finance minister, and a lot of nobles rebelled against him during the Fronde, and you know, just a lot of that kind of stuff. So I just find it funny that during one king's reign, half the people who were imprisoned here were in prison. So there's a gibbet. Yeah, this would not have been a fun place to be imprisoned. And just listen to the sounds. I bet you there would have been some ghosts here, man. Oh, imagine how much money they would have made off of tourism in the Bastille if it was still around. You'd have tour. I mean, it would have been, I guess, kind of like the tower. Oh shit! Wonder if he was like one of the Les Invalides soldiers, or invalid soldiers. But yeah, I mean, they could have. I mean, this probably would have been sort of like the Tower of London in over in England. You know, would have had some tour guides, maybe some ghost walks, maybe even some military history stuff, prison history. I mean, yeah, they definitely would have been making some money off of this place. Ah, the kitchen. Yeah, this was actually a pretty expensive place to guard for the French monarchy. Yeah, I think they were employing like 200 soldiers to guard like... Well, that was the thing in the 1700s. Louis the 15th and 16th kind of realized, yeah, the Bastille kind of has a bum rap. I guess like for America, Guantanamo Bay kind of has a bum rap. So they were kind of trying to get as many prisoners out of here as they could. Like, I mean, just like a week before the storming, I think there had been like there were 9 prisoners here. So, they were spending a lot of money on 9 prisoners. So, yeah, it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, Louis XIV was definitely the greatest king in France's history, but he was very controversial. I mean, a lot of religious persecutions and, you know, just bankrupting France basically to fight wars and build Versailles. So yeah, there's the well. That's like their one water source. So, you know, I think that's definitely what led to the French Revolution, just the perception and the real life. There's the drawbridge. Just the real life shit going on and injustices and all that. So probably didn't start with Louis XIV, but I think that was definitely the eye-opening experience for the French people. Yeah, so there are 8 towers here, and each one had a name. I can't really remember any of them. I think one was called the Coin Tower. The most famous one was the Liberté Tower, and that's actually the foundation stones that they found when digging for the metro line was for the Liberté fountain. Now, one thing they did that was really smart, I can't remember, I think it was like in the 1400s, they actually closed most of the gates to the Bastille. Like that was actually a gate right there. So really the only gate that was left was the one with the drawbridge. So that was the only way the Parisians could attack the Bastille. Yeah, I'm just going to run around, check all this out, see what they got here. But yeah, originally the Bastille was built to defend against the British during the 100 Years' War. Paris was pretty exposed, especially on the eastern side. But really, there weren't that many fortresses in Paris at the time. Like, I think the only other one was maybe the Louvre. They had a fortress over there. Yeah, there's the other gate. Yeah, so I guess there were 3 gates originally into the Bastille, and they closed 2 of them and left the other one open. The one by the gate Saint-Antoine. So that was really the only way in and out of the Bastille. Let's go check out this wall fortification moat thing. Oh wow. God. Yeah, imagine having to attack this place, man. Definitely reminds me of Empire Total War. I mean, this looks like something Bourbon would have designed. But yeah, so it was built to defend against the British in the Hundred Years' War, and actually the Bastille's been the site of a lot of military struggles. Oh shit, the infirmary. Yeah, like during the wars of religions and tons of civil wars with the nobles and stuff. There was actually a battle like right down there. I think it was called the Battle of the Faubourg Saint Antoine or something. During the Fronde. So yeah, there's actually been a lot of fighting around here. Yeah, here's the Bastion. They actually, once Paris wasn't really under a military threat anymore, I guess like in the 1600s, they actually let the prisoners build a garden here on the Bastion, so that's kind of what this is. I guess in their spare time when they aren't doing exercises in the main courtyard of the Bastille, they could come here and prune the shrubs and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of interesting just as a... The Bastille is kind of interesting just as a history of prisons and, you know, just how they were run and the thinking and ideology and stuff behind prisons and prisoners and stuff. Hey, there's some water left. I'm not sure if it's better defensively with moat or if it's kind of surprised I didn't break my neck there. I'm not sure if, you know, if this moat was about 15 feet higher, would that be a better defense or is it kind of better like this? Like, I'm just thinking if I was attacking the Bastille, I would be like, huh. So I guess you could build you know, bridges or just use boats to get across. But then, yeah, then you gotta attack this. Ugh. This would not be fun attacking the Bastille. Yeah, I mean, if Linné had really wanted to, he probably could have held out the Bastille for a long time. I think the Parisians did have a couple of cannon, like maybe 2 or 3, but I mean, 2 or 3 against 30. And like I said, I mean, 98 Parisians killed, 70 wounded against 1 defender killed. I mean, he definitely, if he had really wanted to, he could have caused a lot of damage. The interesting thing is, and definitely speaks for the time, over at the Champ de Mars, about 2 or 3 miles away, there were about 5,000 soldiers underneath the kings who basically just sat it out. They weren't going to take part. Yeah, there's a drawbridge. It'd be funny if they had like a skeleton hanging out from underneath there. The guy who was dumb enough to stand there, get crushed by it. But yeah, they had 5,000 soldiers who were just hanging out at the Champ de Mars. And they let the Parisians take Les Invalides, and they let the Parisians take the Bastille. They weren't going to do anything to stop them. So that kind of sealed the fate of the French monarchy. Yeah, I think Louis XVI didn't even find out until the next day that the Bastille had fallen. And he, I guess, was talking to a duke or whatever who was telling him that it had fallen. And he was like, is this a revolution? Let me, wait, what was the quote? Sorry, kind of hard to do this and think off the top of my head. It was, no, Louis XVI asked the duke, is this a rebellion? And he's like, no, sire, it's a revolution. So that's kind of the famous quote that kicked off the French Revolution. And actually, a few years later, Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, would be guillotined at the, well, at the time it was called the Place de la Révolution. Now it's Place de la Concorde. So, crazy times, man, crazy times. Back in the kitchen. Yeah, I'm just running around trying to see everything there is to see here. But yeah, this would not have been a fun place to attack, man. Oh my god. I guess if you really wanted to attack it, you gotta go artillery. Yeah, get some howitzers, get some mortars to kind of clear the top of the Bastille. Take out the artillery and artillerymen. And then use some long guns. Maybe, I don't know if they had 12-pounders at this time, but at least use some 8s and 6s to try and demolish some of the towers and stuff, but before you send your infantry in. But yeah, definitely would have been a tough nut to crack. Trying to get back to the top here. Bastille is not that easy to climb. Let's see. Alright. And there they go, tearing it apart. Come here, asshole. The hell? Oh, I bet you this was Linné's office. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Linné was an interesting guy. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, but his father was the previous governor of the Bastille, and Linné was actually born here in the Bastille, so he kind of spent his entire life here. And he was kind of old too. I think he was probably in his 60s or so when the storming happened. After he surrendered, the Parisians came in and yeah, things weren't exactly pretty. They actually lynched I think it was two of the Swiss guards they lynched, and maybe killed a few of the Invalides. Thankfully though, a bunch of the guys who were attacking the Bastille were former soldiers, so they were able to kind of protect most of the Swiss Guard, and most of the Swiss Guardsmen were actually allowed to go back to their military unit, so. But yeah, Linné was not treated too nicely. He was actually dragged through the streets of Paris, and he was beaten and spat on and probably stabbed and cut a few times, and then they were taking him to the Hotel Villiers or somewhere. And basically once they got him there, they were like, there was a giant mob of Parisians were like, alright, what do we do with him? And Linné had just had enough. He just shouted out, enough, kill me already. And then he kicked, I think it was a pastry chef in the balls. So I guess he either cried out enough, kill me already, and then kicked the guy in the balls, or he kicked the guy in the balls and then shouted out enough, kill me already. So naturally that pissed the crowd off, and they stabbed him and hacked him to death. So that was kind of a brutal end for Linné. Yeah, he wouldn't be the last to be brutally killed. I mean, the people of Paris have a pretty bloody history, man. They have definitely massacred a lot of people. I mean, just look at what they did to the Huguenots. Yeah, I mean, just crazy, crazy times. Definitely not as nice as our American Revolution. Of course, I mean, we tarred and feathered and, you know, killed a few loyalists, but French Revolution was definitely a thing unto itself. And once it got out of hand with Le Terreur, I mean, there was no stopping it. Okay, can I get the fuck out of here, please? And Napoleon was definitely influenced by what he saw during the French Revolution. I mean, he was always scared of the French mob and the French people. That's why, you know, he definitely made sure to have control over the newspapers and always printing out propaganda and stuff, because he definitely feared the French people. He had seen enough aristocrats and soldiers and noblemen torn to pieces, literally torn to pieces by the French people, so he did not want to have that happen to him. Well, that's always the biggest fear, I think, to dictators is the people. I mean, Gaddafi, what happened to him is a perfect example of what you do not want to have happen to you. Be surrounded and swarmed by your... Hey, back in Linné's office. Be swarmed and killed by your own people. I mean, that's pretty scary. I mean, even if you're not a dictator, just imagine, you know, your neighbors surrounding you and hacking you to pieces. I mean, that would be animalistic and just terrifying. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the damn roof. Oh, let's just run around here. Check out the towers and stuff. Other than the foundation stones of the Liberté Tower, there are some surviving stones of the Bastille. Like, most famously, some of the stones were actually carved into stone models of the Bastille by former prisoners, so that's kind of cool. I did not get to see one. I think they have some of those on exhibit in some of the museums. Can't remember which museums though. I'd have to do some research on that. So yeah, I mean, this is just a solid, perfect example of medieval fortifications. There's Notre Dame. Yeah, it must be Saint-Germain-des-Prés. What the hell is that? Oh, I think that's that place where the Templars in the game. I'm actually not sure if this is a real place, but yeah, that's, what do they call it? The temple, yeah. That's where the main villain of the game is. Not actually sure if that was a real building or not. I definitely didn't see anything that looked like that when I was in Paris, so yeah. Granted though, I didn't really do much in this part of town. Yeah, let's synchronize again, get another good look at the Bastille. This is a really fucking cool place. I really wish it was still around. It was actually a lot of fun doing research on the Bastille, learning so much about it, and yeah, there's the bastion and the walls and stuff. Really, yeah, really cool. It'd be kind of cool if in an Empire Total War you could actually attack the Bastille. Yeah, because I'm kind of looking at it as a military commander. I'm like, huh, how would I attack the Bastille? Gotta go artillery, yeah. I'm not sending my infantry into there. I mean, imagine if the Bastille was guarded, like if they really wanted to guard the Bastille, I mean, if they could put like 300, 400, 500 soldiers in there and along the bastion and the walls and stuff, I mean, they could really hold out. Yeah, a new day is dawning for France. Kind of funny, I probably walked these streets when I was in Paris. Yeah, I definitely need to do some travel episodes for my trip, but I'm just very busy right now, hence is why I'm kind of having to rush on this, but yeah, keep checking out my show if you like it. I'm definitely going to be doing some stuff, and check out my Instagram if you want to check out my pictures from Paris and England and stuff. I think they're pretty cool. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for no pictures, but hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.